telling y'all right now, the country's gonna find out. Everything runs through Lubbock.
The Lady Raiders come into Waco and knock off Baylor. Davis to the plate. Save! Texas Tech has done it!
The Red Raiders come out with one of the most remarkable victories for any program this season.
We can play with any team in the country. We really are who we say we are, and I'm looking forward to everyone seeing that.
Welcome all to the Tortillas and Takes podcast. You are on once again with your boy, Albie Shore. And we doing some big things production-wise here at Tortillas and Takes. You know what I mean? Shout out to the producer. Actually, I won't call you the producer extraordinaire. That's Dylan's title.
That's right.
But you are still the people and the podcast champ that is Jeremy Gill. What's up, Jeremy?
What's up, Albie? Over here juking and ducking through copyright law so that we can have a decent production here at Tortillas and Takes. No joke, when we published the last one, when our first intro was on, I sat there for probably a good 10 minutes watching YouTube's like checking for copyright violations. And it's has spun much longer than any other video, obviously. But I was sitting there like, oh my God, like I'm going to wait for however long for it to go. Actually, strike, and then we'll have to like redo it. But no, we passed, so therefore we will pass every single time. So it feels good, man. That's the only thing that feels good at this point in the past. Oh God, well, when did we? What was that? It's already the 5th. We put this off too long.
Yeah, they didn't strike down our monetization, which means those 2 cents. Whew.
That's right, buddy.
Whoa, buddy. Listen, we put this off for reasons, which is kind of time to soak, okay? We're recording this on the 5th. The game was on the 1st. Could we have recorded it on the 1st? Probably. On the 2nd? Probably. On the 3rd, definitely. But yeah, we still needed some time, man. Still needed some time to get over the game because it was not a fun game. It was probably the first, because even though we lost to Arizona State, I didn't feel bad. I didn't feel terrible. Like there were some aspects to that game that I was like, you know what? The team played. The offense finally came together at the end. The defense showed that they had that prowess. Some disappointing pieces, but I didn't feel terrible about it. This game, defensively, I didn't feel terrible at all. Defensively, they showed up. You did what was advertised. You proved to everybody that you are arguably the best defense in the dang country. Played amazing, right? Offensively, golly, yikes!
You were so buns. You were so buns that everybody's calling this game a smackdown. You guys smackdown, like beat the brakes off you. Garbage. Big 12 is nothing. You were so bad offensively. Nobody even cared defensively what a clinic you put on. Nobody cared about the multiple guys on defense who had their draft stock rocket up. Yeah. They were like, Big 12 is garbage, bro.
Which is why I hated that last touchdown. I hated it. Because 16-0 does not see. I mean, the shutouts is bad, no matter how you slice it. But you lose by 2 possessions, it's not a blowout. 16-0 does not look like a blowout. It looks like a hard-fought defensive game where your offense can do anything. 23-0 looks like a blowout. 23-0 looks like you got stomped. And I hated it. Honestly, it is probably a more accurate representation of the game because I did feel like we got whooped, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
But I hated it because that's when the narratives fly. The narratives are, we got whooped, we got beat, and you totally ignore the fact that defense did play out of their minds. Listen, Dante Moore is going to be a top 3 pick in the draft. He's going to be either a Raider or, God forbid, a Jet, most likely, right? And this defense went out, and Oregon did the game plan that I talked about in the preview pod. I said this is how you beat us, and they did it. Hey, props to Dan Lanning and Will Stein and that team. They did it. They said they followed the Arizona State blueprint, and it really didn't matter. The defense still played amazingly, but there's only so much you can do defensively when your offense was as inept as Texas Tech's offense was.
there's really no, I mean, we'll unfortunately get into it, but there's really no way around it that your defense played at a national championship level. I mean, for me, there was nothing. The errors came towards the end of the game. And for me at that point, I mean, you were out in the field for 38 minutes. 38 minutes, buddy. And we don't have a ton of rotation defensive. We did not have a ton of rotation defensively. And so these guys are out there pretty much the whole game. And, that last touchdown, I've already seen some, lessers on Twitter trying to chime up about how, well, if you guys were a good team, you wouldn't allow that last touchdown. It's like, okay, first of all, when's the last time you had any exercise for longer than 15 minutes? Then you pack that on to a competitive level of Division I football, and you're out there for 38 minutes, and your offense has yet again dunked you over the railing, and you're trying to defend 20 yards of football against an offense that has rotated a lot. This defense did everything that they possibly could, right? Except for get touchdowns, which I was like, boy, if we could just get one defensive touchdown.
By the third quarter, it's like, this is the only way we're going to score. We're only going to be able to score by a defensive touchdown. And even the interception, right? I joked about the interception really not meaning much, right? Because it didn't. The better opposite interception was on a fourth down. He could have batted it down over the same
Yeah.
time. But just for energy, just for momentum, just for all right, cool, we got it. Let's do something with it. And offensively, and we'll get to number 2 in a bit, but our run game couldn't do anything either, right? Jacoby Williams busted up that 50-yard run. Outside of that 50-yard run, Williams and Dickey combined for 60 total yards, 2.6 yards a carry, right? And props to Oregon's defense. I thought Oregon's defense played very well. We talked about how their defense was a pretty good defense already, so we knew they were going to be good. We knew that Bryce Botcher was a really good player. Dylan Thieneman actually had an absolute great game. And actually, who else had a great game? Tuiti. All right, am I saying that right? Teote? Yeah, Teote, sorry. Had a crazy good game. 2 sacks himself. Really was sealing the edge very well in this game, really making it tough for our runners and really making it tough for our O-line in general. And in that one big sack where he just annihilated Morton, a lot of it was because of confusion between, Sampson running into Carter there, and they were just, the O-line was just getting beat, just straight up. And so props to Oregon's defense. They did a really good job here. But Jeremy, number 2, man.
Number 2. You know what I will say, and this leads into the conversation. The run game was non-existent. The run blocking was non-existent. Oregon did a really good job of dialing out different stunts, getting guys involved, and kind of confusing our offensive line. The pass defense, pass blocking was actually pretty good. If you go back and watch the tape, pass blocking, I mean, Morton had a lot of time to be back there and to do his thing, a lot more than at certain points in the season. And so, number 2, step on up to the podium here, because this is where the disappointment really sets in. Oh
my God. I don't know the last time I saw quarterbacking that bad at Texas Tech University.
Yeah.
A little bit about me, a little background about me. I don't even know if Jeremy knows this. When I was a wee little lad, and I moved to Houston, Texas area around the age of 5 or 6. The Texans, or the Houston, did not have a football team. Yes, young kids. Houston went a period without an NFL football team. I say NFL. It's not like we had a college team either. Cougs. But anyways, we didn't have a football team. And so during that period, I wasn't going to, some people were Oilers/Titans fans because they just moved over to Tennessee and they stayed with the team. Some people became Cowboys fans. That was Texas' team now. I was me and growing up, and now I'm, forming a brain to have my own opinions and like my own sports. And I was becoming a Rockets fan and an Astros fan, and we didn't have, any teams in the city. So I actually became an Eagles fan. Yeah, Jeremy, I actually became an Eagles fan. This is pre-Texans. When the Texans came to the city, I was both Texans and Eagles. Those were my two teams in the mid 2000s. And at the time, I was really big in the Donovan McNabb. I love Donovan McNabb. You ask anyone who went to middle and high school with me, huge Donovan McNabb fan. Loved him. In the Super Bowl, Donovan McNabb played the Patriots. The only Super Bowl he ever went to, and they played the Patriots. The rumor has that Donovan McNabb was so nervous, so anxious about that game that he threw up in the huddle, right? And he denies it. A lot of the teammates confirm it. I don't need to confirm whether or not he threw up in the huddle. I watched him play. He played like somebody who was scared, who was nervous, who was just so scared, crapless about being in the Super Bowl that he didn't know what to do. I say all that to say, I saw that same fear, scare, and anxiety. I don't like judging how players are mentally. Like that's not our room to do so. Right? Like that's players play. They are who they are. They're human beings, all that stuff. But so I'm not going to say how he was. What I am going to do is say what he looked like. And that guy looked like Jeremy. He looked like he hadn't played football. I defended Baron Moore probably more than anybody else the last 2 years. And that guy right there, I don't even know what to say. You know, one of the main reasons why I said in our chat, one of the main reasons why I've always defended him was because I've always said Baron Morton doesn't make mistakes. Never once did I think, well, what happens when he does? And he's simply not good enough to get us out of the mistakes he's making.
Yeah, I think that's a really good callback to Jonathan McNabb. I mean, we've seen, and you know the really hard part about this scenario for Baron Morton is that you're coming off of the extended rest time, and we all acknowledged it beforehand that last year all the teams lost on their bye. All the teams that had their bye lost, right? And so the question was, is this team going to be able to respond and kind of break that? You know, hopefully this doesn't become a tradition. Hopefully this doesn't become a pattern. And, you know, some teams start going down. And so we're kind of looking around like, uh-oh, like, are we going to be a part of it still? And the hope was, and the expectation was that, you know, people like Joey McGuire, you know, can rally this team. This team is hungry for it, XYZ. And all true, right? Baron Morton's getting extra rest time. I originally was on the train of avoid the bye. I'd love to have the 5 so that we can have a game and then move into the quarterfinals, you know, staying in rhythm. But I came to the side of wanting the bye solely because I wanted Baron Morton to be healthier. For me, it was like, man, can we get closer to echoes of Ohio State, of Oklahoma State Baron Morton, the Baron Morton that came on the scene and made Mike Gundy go, uh-oh, we're in trouble, right? You know, what year is that kid? But stepping out onto the field in Miami, I tweeted it, you know, if this is a healthy Baron Morton, he sure is not playing like it. Like, I don't care if he's not it's almost better if he's feeling the pain. It's almost like he responds positively to the pain and to the pushing through that grit. You know, if he's got no grit, then maybe he's more of a, you know, show pony than anything. I just, you know, I don't want it to taint anybody's image of Baron Morton, but I am equally disappointed that, like, when you get to that, you just won the Big 12 championship, right? And no matter how you want to look at the Big 12 as a conference, as a power, you won something that says a championship. That requires grit. I mean, you had BYU play you again. They wanted that get back, so they played you hard, right? And you still got the dub. Okay, what changed in that month where you're going up against an elite team? You have a chance to do an elite thing and lean into this, like, you are the underdog, right? Lean into that. Be the scrappy guy who goes and gets it done. I compared him to, Dante Moore had star power and Baron Morton's got scar power. You know, Scar is like, you know, he's been through a lot. He's older. You know, he's kind of a veteran quarterback. Doesn't get lost. Won't get lost in these kind of scenarios. And I was wrong. So I have just no idea, man. And you know, he never shook it off. The whole game, it was more of the same. There was never kind of an adjustment, I think, offensively, even in the game plan and maybe that's the fault of, the line and the running backs not being able to create more to alleviate Bear Morton's ability to, his kind of pressure on passing. But at the same time, like I'm a little bit upset with Mac Leftwich. You have a month to prepare and your quarterback comes out flat and you're just out there standing like, well, I guess we just keep running it and see if he snaps out of it. At a quarterfinal, on the college football playoff, when everybody's watching, wanting you to fail, like you're telling me that you didn't come into this with a plan B. If that's my full job, I'm making the game plan, but I'm also thinking about, what if it goes wrong? What are we going to do to, adjust if this happens? So I don't know. If I'm Mac Leftwich, I'm going into this offseason. Number one, we'll talk about the transfers and stuff. There's got to be a lot more firepower and reliability across this depth chart. But me professionally, I would say, how do I make sure that never happens again? Because the last thing I think for your stock in your career, the last thing you want is to like, hey, I'm really good in the Big 12, but anytime we played anybody outside of it, dog, I suck. Like, what do you want? Right? What are you looking for? So I don't know, man. Offensively, this game was such a disappointment and so sad because it was such a disappointment while the defense was doing, even more like, they answered the call of like, ooh, Texas Tech, really? You're going against the number one rush offense in the nation. Fantastic. They gave up, 64 yards. Whoop-de-doo. Dante Moore, he's the dog. Okay. 245 yards passing. That's pretty much what we gave up every game, right? So they did everything right. We just needed an average quarterback to help run this offense, which is just so disappointing.
Yeah, it is. It's and a lot of times whenever players play a certain way and a lot of fans come in here, I think that a lot of people like to listen to us to offer a different perspective. Right? Well, hey, if you saw this, if you didn't see this, the way the O-line was shifting this way, or the way they were doing this. I ain't got nothing else for you. Martin was just missing throws. He was just missing passes. He was just it was feet set, pocket good, outstretched arms. Right? There's a little bit too. I think there wasn't a lot of separation from the receivers either, and I think a little bit has to go to some of the kind of falls on the OC as well of like what plays are we calling? Well, how come downfield we're not necessarily getting open, right? But then I would see one play where I didn't see a receiver getting open. The next play I would see a couple. That was another thing. You would say, oh, maybe your receivers aren't getting open. They would show a different angle, and you're like, man, dude, the trigger's right there. You have a guy coming up the seam. There was one play where Jeremy, you and I were tweeting about it. There was one play where there were three guys open, and he threw it to the one guy that wasn't. And he still missed him off target. Like it's just hard to give him any credit on this game. I'm absolutely with you in that we can be upset at Morton for about a week, a good week. We can be upset at Bear Morton. Listen, it was a bad game. We can be upset at Morton for about a week. Morton, go drink some water for about a week. After that, we should give him credit. Morton is absolutely, he's accomplished things in Texas Tech that nobody's ever had. He's the only quarterback in Texas Tech history right now that has can call himself a Big 12 champion. Right? He can do that. He led us to that. He is a true Red Raider for life. Right? Has been Red Raider his entire life. He wanted to come here. He was a four-star quarterback. Committed to Tech when he didn't have to. He had better opportunities, better offers, and still came. Still stuck it through. Still stayed here. So, a Baron Morton, to me, deserves all the flowers, all the credit. He deserves to be able to come back and be great. We're going to be mad at you for about a week. We're recording this on the 5th. Give us to the 8th. After that, you're good in my book. But it wasn't really Barrett knew it. He was tearing up on the sideline both at the end of the game and the press conference. He knew he played abysmally. So I don't think there's anything that anybody doesn't already know. So we're gonna be mad at him for a week. We're gonna be mad at him, and you mentioned it. We're also gonna be mad at Mac Leftwich for maybe not a week, but at least a weekend. You know what I'm saying? His probationary period probably just ended. But, Leftwich's play calling definitely left a lot to be desired. I saw some tweets from some other people that are not Tech fans that were basically like, Yeah, y'all doing all this to upgrade on offense, but you still got that OC. I think Mac. So it's interesting because I think for Mac, the play calling in the game left a lot to be desired. We've talked about it this year. Some of his play calling in the red zone has also been questionable. Certain aspects of that Arizona State game, his play calling was, people coming after his head on it, right? And in this game, I definitely think there was some problems. To your point, there was no pivot, there was no adjustment, there was no, hey, what if this is not working in it, right? Flip side, I still have all the confidence in the world of Max Leftwich because, he's listen, you cannot, and the same thing I said when people were on Achilles' neck, you cannot coach a top 10 offense and be considered bad. I don't care who you are. You are a top 10 offense in the country. You are not a bad OC. There's no such thing. Right? If you're a top 10 by almost every metric, which he was this year, you cannot be bad. The main metric he was not top 10 in, obviously, was red zone. Got to improve on that. But between the 20s, he was amazing. And so yeah, I hang my hat on that. I hang my hat on the work that he did previously, right? Working with guys like Cam Ward, who is right now coming off of a promising rookie year. Unfortunately, plays for a devilish team in the Tennessee Titans, but coming off a promising rookie year, and he helped do that. He helped lead that, and so I have faith in Mac Leftwich going forward. But just as bad as Barton played, Leftwich did not have a good game either.
Yeah, and with Leftwich, with any kind of, especially offensive coordinators, I think DCs get a little more grace because of just the breadth. It's more about schematic than it is players. Quarterbacks make or break, man. What are you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say, do you think DCs get more grace in general, or is it here at Texas Tech? Because I feel like at Texas Tech, we've gotten a chance to see Mike Leach and Cliff Kingsbury be offensive coordinators.
Yeah.
We've also gotten the opportunity to see guys like Kevin Johns and we've seen some of the worst defensive coordinators.
David Yost. Yeah.
So if you're top 100 on defense, we love you. And if you're not top 10 on offense, who the hell are you?
Right.
So we're much harder on offensive coordinators, I think, because of what we've seen and what we've and we're harder on quarterbacks too. I think it's both. We're harder on quarterbacks, we're harder on offensive coordinators because we've seen some of the greatest to do both.
True.
In college.
Yeah. So my point was more so that for offensive coordinators, it really runs through if you have a good quarterback or not, unless you're running a triple option, right? Whereas like defensive coordinators, if you've got a bummy linebacker, you can probably cover that up pretty well. Good Lord, Albert's getting shot at. Albert currently over in Venezuela. Nothing big of note going on there. But you can kind of get away with it with on defense because it's such a more team-based orientation. With offense, the quarterback has got to be good. And so in Mac Leftwich's case, we understand that Morton was never 100%. Sometimes he was 60%. And Leftwich operated around that. What's going to be interesting is next year when Leftwich has a quarterback who is currently not injured and has a little bit more of an ability both running and passing and has shown more of an ability to pick out one the ability to go through your reads, right? The incoming quarterback has got a lot more tape on him making the reads, right? So, it's going to be interesting to watch Mac Leftwich in that. So like you said, this is a coordinator who's worked with really talented quarterbacks. And sometimes if you got a quarterback who's got the yips and he can't make anything happen and he's just scared, you can't do anything about that. Right. So we'll see how he adjusts with a new quarterback with new wide receiving core. Hopefully some really powerful wide receivers of note. And if not, then listen, man, if it's a kid from Akron, Ohio, whatever. But no, I think that he's a cornerback. Anyways, you know what I'm saying? with a quarterback who's competent, we're going to have a lot more of an open playbook. We've got a lot of running backs. We've got a lot of power at the running back depth chart again. So tight end, Terrence Carter Jr. is coming back. That's going to be a big piece of the offense. So Mac Leftwich, man, next year is a good kind of like reload and reset, and I would not say like give up on your offensive identity. I think that you made a career out of it, so you got to stick with it. And that's what you were hired to do. And now it's like, how do we plug and play these new characters? And what I said right after the game was, I hope that if anything, the idea is that this identified where we really need to. Remember, last year was, we need a line. Like we need a line. We need an offensive and defensive line. And so we went and got one, and that changed everything. So the idea here is that Oregon exposes something in you that makes you think as an offensive coordinator, oh, shoot, like I've got to get a lot better X, Y, Z in order to be ready for it's the same thing that Oregon experienced last year when they came and they had the bye week and they were exposed in that first game and they got mollywopped. And then Dan Lanning was like, damn, you know what we need to do? Not this. And here's Oregon going into the semifinals. So that's the trajectory. Like that's the plan for Joey and company. Shield Wood, you're doing great. Keep it up. I think for Joey and Mac, the idea here now is what do we adjust to move past the court? Because now the quarterfinals is the ceiling, or like it's the glass ceiling. How do we break through it?
So I got a couple questions for you there, Jeremy. Question one, right? So actually, before I get to my questions, that fourth down play call with Jacoby Williams. Sometimes with play call, I always question, is it a bad play call or bad execution? This is both.
Oh, yeah, it was both.
This was both.
That was both.
The play call, I didn't love the Wildcat thing. And then Jacoby Williams, it was a combination of you probably should have cut in, but you could have bounced out if you were more patient. You should have waited. Like it was everything was bad. But anyways, I'm going to ask two questions for you. So one, you talked about the bye week. So question one is that, so we were on opposite ends of this. I know you said you wanted the first round bye. I was of the opinion of Joey, which is, nah, man, let's get healthy. Let's get healthy. We get one round further, right? We get into the quarterfinals at the very least. We don't have to worry about James Madison. Let's get healthy. Do you, now that we are 2 years into this experiment of this 12-team college football playoff, and in the 2 years, it's teams to buy are 1-7. Now that includes teams like Arizona State, who was an underdog anyway. It includes even teams like Texas Tech, who was an underdog in this game. Of the 8 games, 3 of them were underdogs, right? But it also includes a team like Ohio State, who was the favorite to win even though we're Indiana, Ohio State is still the favorite to win the college football playoff this year, losing in the first round. It includes a team like Georgia, playing a team without a head coach, losing in the first round, right? It includes a team last year losing to Notre Dame of all trash teams in their first game. So, do you subscribe to the notion that the bye is inherently bad for teams?
Yeah, I think the numbers are starting to stack up in that narrative. I just, even if you can pitch me a reason why it's not, the stats are just against you at this point. So yeah, I just still not a fan of the bye. It seems like a great idea, but it's not 1 week bye. It's
sure.
like
I think that's
multiple weeks. Yeah,
I honestly think that's the problem. I truly think that's the problem. So I didn't subscribe to it until Georgia lost. When Georgia lost to Ole Miss, I'm like, okay, guys.
You got me.
This is getting crazy. Yeah, that's what I really subscribe to. And then I do believe like Morton plays so badly that I'm like, this gotta be but to your point, it was not a 1 week bye. It's a month bye. These guys going 3.5 weeks without playing. That is a wild amount of time. And then and I mean for the 4 teams that got the bye, we're all in conference championship game at least. Imagine if you weren't, right? Actually, wait, no, hold on. Yeah, no, Georgia wasn't. Sorry. Yeah, so imagine if you weren't, right? Imagine if you were a team like Oregon. If Oregon had a bye, they would have been another week removed from playing. So that's the main thing. It's not just a 1 week bye; it's a month bye, which is kind of crazy. My other question for you, Jeremy, is I'm gonna set the scene for you. After that abysmal 4th down call, we got the ball one more time. Best drive of the entire game, right? We finally get into the red zone, the 9-yard line, and an absolute duck into double coverage leads to an interception, which Finney could have ran to the house. It could have been a 105-yard pick six, but he decided to just kneel in the end zone because the interception was just so easy that he was kind of shocked by it, I'm sure. Do you pull Morton down? I know a lot of people were talking about pulling Morton throughout the game. To me, up until that point, you're like, Morton got to shake out of him. Would you have pulled Morton then, or you ride with Morton, you got it?
That was
early in the 4th.
In the 4th. And it was still, and at that point, it was still 16-0.
It was actually it was 13-0 at that point, and they kicked the field goal.
Yeah, they got the field goal on that one. Dude, this is a good question, and I don't know if there's a right answer. If it were me, I kind of see it the way Joey sees it, or he might have saw it. I'm not going to put words in his mouth, but it's the 4th quarter. Your offense has been inept all game. And, the last thing I think I'd want to do at that point is just switch out the quarterback and just hope that your third stringer, Mitch Griffiths, would be the guy to lead you back. It's not like and I know some people are like, well, they pulled Tua Tagovailoa or Jalen for, the Alabama switch, and that's what won them the game. Like those two wildly different scenarios, because we have Baron Morton, who at his not healthy is really good, and Mitch Griffiths, who last year wasn't playing football. Right? It's not the same. It's not the same.
That was also at halftime, right? So there's that too. Halftime it was 6-0, and halftime it was 6-0. And unfortunately, I would argue Morton played worse in the second half than he did in the first.
Yeah. So I wouldn't have pulled Morton. Also because you got to recognize it's probably Morton's last competitive football game, and I'd hate to pull him for him just to weep on the bench while we still get whipped. I'd like him to be out there.
Yeah, I also think so. You put in Mitch Griffiths, it's a true act of desperation. It's one of those things that are actually an abysmal coaching decision 9 times out of 10. The only way it's not a bad coaching decision is if Griffiths wins you the game, right? And so I think a lot of people subscribe to the notion that if Griffiths gives you a 10% chance to win the game, just do it, because right now you're at 0. And I'm not even going to say that's the wrong way to look at it, because I get that. You're just trying to win the game, right? I completely understand that. However, I do think that everybody is talking about Joey's loyalty hurting him, or Joey's loyalty killing him, or whatever. That loyalty is why all the Wombles and Cody Campbell and all these guys are willing to fight for Joey. It's the reason why you're able to get a guy like Shilwood. It's the reason why you're able to get a guy like Mac Leftwich. It's the reason why you're able to get these recruits that you are getting, because they see that loyalty, right? He was loyal to Tyler Shuck. And if New Orleans Saints starting quarterback Tyler Shuck. But he was loyal to Tyler Shuck. He was loyal. He's loyal to these guys. He truly loves these guys. And so I think there's something real to that. And you could argue maybe it burned this game. Honestly, we're probably losing regardless.
Yeah.
So, not even probably. We all lose regardless. So, but
if he had Will Hammond and there was no ACL injury, do you think that's a harder conversation?
I still don't think he pulls him. I do think it's a harder conversation.
Yeah, okay.
That I do. Maybe that I'm like, maybe he's like, Baron, are you limping? No, coach. No, it seems like you're limping.
Seems like you're limping.
Yeah, maybe.
Like you said, it burned us this time, but we probably weren't going to win. And there is no coaching style out there that hasn't burnt their team. There's no perfect coach out there, right? And if you telling me that there's unless you're going to talk about Kurt Signetti, Google.
No. I was going to say that I could see him Hammond packages if he was healthy.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And that would make it a lot more stressful on the Oregon defense, for sure. A quarterback who can run, right? In McGuire's coaching style, which I think we can just say is kind of a CEO coaching style of like, I'm going to trust my guys to do their job, and I'm just going to be kind of the overall rah-rah guy keeping us focused. That's what has when you got and so here's kind of the switch of it, right? Is that we're going to, people will get mad at Joey for not pulling Morton in the third or the fourth quarter in that game because like, oh, you're too loyal, like, oh, you can't make the hard decision. And then here in the transfer portal, they're going to be like, well, hell yeah, they're picking Texas Tech because we got a great culture and like, McGuire's for the players and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, do you see where you're getting mixed up here? Like, do you see the disconnect? Because like McGuire is going to be unapologetically himself through the end. And that's what you want at Texas Tech. Right? There's no bait and switch here. There's no like, yeah, you're my dude, and then, well, you kind of suck, so I'm gonna pull you. There are scenarios. There's no Kiffining here, and there's important. Well, and you wonder why we got the quarterback we got, but there's no like bait and switch. There's no question mark with McGuire. It's like he's going to roll with who he believes in the most. And he just believed in Morton, and he just believed in Morton a lot more than he believed in Mitch Griffiths. And that's no shade against Mitch Griffiths. I'm sure Mitch Griffiths would be like, I don't even know if Mitch wanted to go into the game. That's what y'all are assuming, like he wanted to go in the game. Buddy, let me tell you what it's like to be lower on the depth chart, and you're looking out on the field, and they're just getting obliterated. You don't want to be a part of the conversation.
Yeah.
You'd rather be like, you know what? I know my role, and it's not this. I don't want to be on film. Thank you.
So, with all that being said, final stats for the game: Baron Morton, 18 for 32, 137 yards, 2 touchdowns, or 2 interceptions. Sorry. Jacoby Williams, 13 carries, 81 yards, including a big 50-yard run. They're really the only positive for our offense all game. Cam Dickey, 11 carries, 29 yards. Terrence Carter, actually another positive. Let me not say the only one. Terrence Carter actually had a really good game in this one, 9 catches, 72 yards, the only reliable receiving target for the team this game. Reggie Virgil, 2 catches, 29 yards himself. Defensively, like I said, great game. Ben Roberts had an incredible game. Great game for Ben Roberts. 16 tackles, tackle for loss. Jacob Rodriguez, also another great game, obviously, 11 tackles himself. Brendan Jordan, another guy with a great game, 9 tackles, and a tackle for loss. David Bailey had had a sack and another tackle for loss in the game. 2 pass deflections, both on 4th down. Both was huge, really showing that vertical. I think David Bailey to me cemented himself as a top 10 pick.
Oh, no doubt.
In this game. Like, he was incredible in this game. Just incredible. Romello Height also had a great game in this one. Him getting 5 tackles and a sack himself. Lee Hunter also great game in this one. 2 TFLs himself and 7 tackles. Like I said, defensively, we had a really good game. And I failed to mention Ben Roberts' interception as well. So, anything else you want to say about this game, Jeremy?
I mean, it hurts, but carry that into the next season. I think, I'd rather lose on the quarterfinal stage like that than, win the Liberty Bowl or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I think that, it sucks losing, but the reality is that you've gone farther than you ever have before, and we get a whole nother season, after this, and it just keeps going. So, like, we can just improve. One
thing that's been really annoying since the game is the $22 million for nothing are comments. And I'm like, what are y'all talking for nothing? What are you talking about? Like, the beauty of college football has always been that there's not just one champion. All right? Like, and what I mean by that is that there is obviously one national championship, but like, there's so many other great stories. There's so many other great things. Other things matter. And yes, and I guess, and I love the playoff. I really do. It's one thing we are missing from the playoff is that not just it's making the quarterfinal is great.
Yeah.
It is amazing. At the beginning of the year, you would have told Cody Campbell, hey, you're going to spend, and everybody, you're going to spend $22 million this year. We're going to win the Big 12 championship. We're going to set the record for the most wins in a Texas Tech football season with 12. We're going to go 12-2. We're going to lose in the quarterfinal. They would say, sign me the F up.
They would have signed the checks faster than they did already.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Like, the goal, obviously, is to win a national championship. And let me tell you something. We're about to talk about this in a second. That goal is in full force. But That's not a failure, right? Texas spent more money in doing the Cheez-It Bowl, right? So like it's absolutely not a failure. So I have hated that notion overall. So I'm interested to see where Morton plays in his All-Star game. Probably I think the East-West Shrine Bowl, maybe giving him an invite. He's going to be gone. Caleb Douglas, CD, announced his intention to enter an NFL draft. I've been saying he's a Sunday player for 2 years now. I really believe it. So I'm excited to see him go. Reggie Virgil, there were some thoughts that it may be possible for him to come back with the waiver. He hasn't announced what he's doing just yet, so we'll see on that front. I don't think they're planning for him to come back, but you never know. And as far as some other guys, defensively, David Bailey's going to the league. Merlo Heights going to the league. Lee Hunter's going to the league. Skylar Gill-Howard, they're trying to get him in the NCAA waiver, so he may or may not come back. We're seeing that. AJ Holmes will be back. Bryce Pollock will be back. Ben Roberts will be back. John Curry will be back. Jacob Rodriguez, obviously, he'll be going to the league as well. Jeremy, I'm going to say greatest Red Raiders season ever. Greater than Crabtree, greater than Mahomes, greater than Harrell, greater than Kingsbury. Jacob Rodriguez, greater than Zach Thomas, greater than EJ Hullum. Jacob Rodriguez, greatest Red Raider season of all time. And he will be going to the league as well. But a lot of guys coming back.
Yeah. Can't argue with that. Yeah, trophies speak for themselves, guys. I mean, you can go up and down, you can piss outside about defensive players, blah blah blah. But the reality is that, Zach Thomas said it. Hey, he's got X, Y, and Z trophy. I never got that.
Yeah, exactly. So with all that being said, we got some other guys leaving. Right? Excuse my sniffles. We got some other guys leaving, unfortunately. So 16 players have officially entered the transfer portal that are former Texas Tech Raiders. Like some of the big ones that I was like, oh, started off with Cheddar Ofili, backup edge this year. Got some burn, right? It's always hard when you're the backup to two guys that are going to be first-round draft picks. But Ofili was somebody that, he thought maybe he can come in next year and do something. I would argue that he actually outplayed where he was originally recruited to be. But still, he's entering the portal. He's going to have quite a bit of suitors himself, right? Mitch Griffiths, who we talked about, also entered the portal himself, right? He has one more year, and I can't blame him after what we've seen him this year at least put on tape. You got to think if you're somebody like North Texas, right? You may want to look out and say, you know what, that's who we want, right? Well, hell, if I was Mitch, I'd be like, hey, Harvard, you need a guy? Get that Harvard degree, Mitch.
That's right, man. Leverage,
right? But just anyways, that he's going to get the opportunity to play some high-level football as well. Marion Horn, who was a 4-star corner out of Oklahoma. They're linking him to Oklahoma State right now. So we may be seeing him sooner rather than later. But he also entered the portal. And last but not least, Kelby Valson also entered the portal as well. And so he receiver didn't get a lot of burn because a lot of backup receivers didn't get a lot of burn. Was somebody that we were eyeing for potentially next year, but he also entered the portal as well. So, Jeremy, with all that being said, you can wipe the tears from your eyes because we in the portal tough. And the big get, Mr. Gillen, the one and only, our new number 2, Brendan Sorsby. Yeah. Brendan Sorsby. Oh, okay. Your boy. This is your boy. You talked about him last year in the 2024 season. You talked about him. I will not let anybody else claim to be a Sorsby fan. You were a bigger Sorsby supporter than Cincinnati fans.
That's true.
That is your boy. What do you got to say about you willing Sorsby? He only came here because of you. He said, hey.
Well, we were texting the other day, and he was asking me how Baton Rouge is. And I was like, it's okay. I love Cajun food. The girls are pretty, but that humidity sucks, man. Sucks. Lane Kiffin's a loser. Like, don't be associated with losers, man. Come be a winner. You know, it's a really funny point when you bring up that Cincinnati fans weren't as big on Sorsby as I was. Let that be a red flag for everybody, because like for me, I'm not a fan. Like I'm not a Cincinnati fan, so whether they win or lose doesn't matter to me. But now he's our QB1, right? He's our number 2. I'm really excited about this pick. I knew it was coming down to Brendan Sorsby or Sam Levitt, and after that, a massive drop off to like who the hell is out there. So this was more of a panic scenario, I think, for us who weren't in the war room of recruiting. I'm sure that the recruiting guys felt a lot more confident, but between the two, Brendan Sorsby, no doubt. And the number one reason for that for me is that he doesn't have a Liz Frank injury. Like he doesn't have, something that will sneak up again later and cause an issue. Sam Levitt, though, I mean, he's done nothing but beat us, so he's not a loser. I love his drive. I think that he's going to be good wherever he goes, if it is Kentucky or if LSU sneaks it out. But the reality is that for me, it's interesting to go to Kentucky, though, because Will Stein, the offensive coordinator for Oregon, is now their head coach. So that's an interesting mix. But Brendan Sorsby, a great quarterback. I think that he's had a drop-off the past couple of seasons, late in the season against stiffer competition. But my argument against that, I think that Brendan Sorsby shows you a lot of his ceiling when he's got a good supported and healthy staff around him. For Cincinnati especially, injuries mount up throughout the season for them. They don't have a ton of depth. So as the year went on, Brendan Sorsby didn't have as much around him. I know that they had a more injured offensive line than most. And so, does that play into his ability or inability? We'll find out for sure. But I do think like any quarterback, like any great quarterback, and let's put air quotes up there of like the SEC perennial greats, most of the greatness comes from the staff around him. So give Brendan Sorsby a championship level defense and a really, really good offense. I think Sorsby has the skills, the abilities, the naivete, if you will, of like not having PTSD because he got injured one time and it's bothered him for the rest of his life. I think Brendan Sorsby is a gamer. I've said it a lot of times, like it's a guy who wants to win, and he has willed Cincinnati to more wins than they deserved. So I think that putting a guy like that in a system like this, he's not necessarily a run first quarterback, but in a veer and shoot offense where he's got the ability to do both, I think he can really shine. Just going to have to buy into the Mac Leftwich offense, and they're both going to have to come up with some really cool game plans.
I mean, this is the quarterback Mac Leftwich wanted. Right?
Yeah.
This is he picked it up, and that's what I was kind of getting at earlier in the pod. I was like, this is the guy. You now get the quarterback you want. This is the guy. This is the guy that's supposed to fit what you do. So I think the buy-in aspect is something that should be pretty seamless, right? Because this is who you absolutely wanted. This is who Mac was able to pick and say, I want him. And honestly, I really do believe when it comes to quarterbacks, I personally do believe that pure talent-wise, that Sam Levitt's the best quarterback that's in play. However, with the Liz Frank injury, also you want a bit of a leader. I think Levitt and Kiffin fit each other. If he doesn't, it's going to LSU. Take that as you will.
Spicy.
Yeah, the way Levitt has left Arizona State hasn't been great. I think the way that Sorsby's left Cincinnati, at the very least, has been a little bit better, a little bit more seamless. And so and one thing about Sorsby is that now he's not a miracle worker, but he is a talent raiser. He is a floor raiser. Nobody thought Cincinnati would even people didn't think Cincinnati would make a bowl game. I didn't think they'd make a bowl game, right? And at one point they were in the running for a Big 12 championship. So this whole, I've heard a lot of people saying like, a lot of haters. I mean, a lot of haters recently have been saying, oh, well, Brendan Sorsby shrinks when a big game. Dude, Cincinnati shouldn't be in any big games. They shouldn't have been. He's really raised the status of that team. And so I'm very excited to see what he does with a good team. And it wasn't just Brendan Sorsby, however, even though that's what we're all excited for. With them on offense, we were able to get some burners. So Jalen Jones, arguably one of the fastest people in all of Division I football last year at Alabama State, he's coming over. His quarterback's really good too. He has a lot of suitors. His quarterback does over at Bama State. But Jalen Jones coming over should be a really good slot guy. Likely not necessarily a starter, but good slot guy that's going to get some rotation. And also, I can see him doing some returning as well. But one thing that we heard, especially with some of the receivers that ended up leaving, right? We talked about Valson leaving, also TJ West and President Harrison and stuff, and Price Morgan, some of the burners, is we've always loved speed. But what about getting some size? And Dante Lee from Liberty is size. Good outside receiver. To me, he to me is kind of like that Caleb Douglas replacement, just because of just the way he bodies his receiver up and grabs the ball. Really good size there. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we are potentially grabbing some other receivers, right? As of right now, we actually have Kenny Johnson that's on site, Pitt receiver, another big body, currently on site in Lubbock. And when it comes to receivers, ain't no receiver bigger than Cam Coleman. From Auburn, I think most people have Cam Coleman as their number one overall player in the transfer portal. When he entered the transfer portal, Auburn fans have been pissed at their new head coach ever since. And he decided to list – and the rumors was that he'd be going to Lone Star State. Either Texas or Texas A&M or just duking it out for him. So come to a lot of people's surprise when he announced the 5 schools he'd be visiting were Texas, Texas A&M, Alabama, USC, and little old Texas Tech out in West Texas. And he's already dropped the USC visit, right? And so Tech is still in the running for it. I think most people still kind of have it geared towards the Austin guys, the College Station guys, and people. I still think it's going to be one of those two. But watch out for Tech. And I think getting Sorsby is a big reason why we have the opportunity to potentially get a guy like Cam Coleman or a guy like Kenny Johnson. Both huge stars offensively there. So, now, one thing that's interesting, Jeremy, that's offense. You would think that, hey, man, defense, we look pretty good. Bryce Pollock coming back, Amir Boyd coming back, right? Ben Roberts, John Curry, A.J. Holmes, a pretty good defense, We're good, right? He said, no. We want to be effing amazing, right? I didn't think it was possible to do better defensively than we did last year. Boy, are they really trying, right? Like the guys that we have. So what you do is you go out and you say, hey, Amari Fleming, we heard that you're one of the best edge rushers in all of Group of 5. Coming from that, you know what? Let's test that. Let's test that. Hey, Julian Laventre, you were really dominating the MAC over out in Akron. We like it. We liked it a lot. You know what? Come on over. Yeah, you don't even worry about anything like that. Oh, also speaking of D-line, hey, Bryce Butler. Hey, you don't really. You dominated in JUCO, was JUCO All-American. Then you went to Washington. You liked Washington, did you? Played pretty well. Yeah, come on over to Texas, right? You know what, Trey White? Now you really were the best edge rusher in all of Group of 5. Come on over to Texas Tech. Hey, remember that guy when we were in Manhattan that made all the tackles against us? Austin Romaine, the guy that they said if Jacob Rodriguez is the best linebacker in the Big 12, Romaine's probably the second best. You would be a really good Jacob Rodriguez replacement. What about back-to-back Nagurski's, Romaine? How does that sound? We're at the point now where, Jeremy, and maybe I'm being hyperbolic, is it possible to get 2025 Nagurski, Lombardi, all the Defensive Player of the Year award winner, Jacob Rodriguez, followed by 2026 winner, Austin Romaine, followed by 2027 winner, Ben Roberts? Is that possible? We're going to try.
We're going to try. We've joked about being a linebacker school, but it's really coming to fruition these days. It's
absolutely insane. And also Wendell Gregory from Oklahoma State. There's some crystal ball predictions that There's a good chance that he will be making his way potentially to Texas Tech, which would be another just
Huge.
Yeah, would just be another great thing happening. And then not to mention that we also have a couple corners that have also committed and have their way coming over to Texas Tech as well. So we are, and one of them from UTSA actually, David Martin was I want to say one of the top, if not, I don't say the top, but one of the top cornerbacks in the portal overall. Was a really huge get out of UTSA. You ask anybody that was paying attention to the American this year, I know not too many people paying attention to the American, unless you're looking at North Texas. But he was really locking up, and actually he had a really good game against North Texas himself as well. So really just so much things happening in the portal. What do you make of all this portal noise?
We got a taste of it, the taste of the good life, and we're just getting back to it. I remember last year, there was that semi-infamous tweet was like, why do all these MFers keep going to Texas Tech? And it just we're back at it. It's that season. I need to put that on a shirt or something, because like the transfer portal season, our early exit, this will be a weird silver lining for me, is that our early exit from the college football playoffs, I think, gave us an ability to be a lot more aggressive in the transfer portal. At least now it's your main focus. Like, this is what you get to do. And so that's how you get to have kind of deeper looks at guys like David Martin, who is a lockdown great man-on-man corner, which is what we need more of. Guys who can lock up with your best two, right? That gives you an opportunity to look more deeply at, universities like Akron. Let's look at Liberty. Let's look at Alabama State. What are these guys? Let's look at the depth of the tape and see what these guys have to offer, right? Because, you go talk to your layman on the street and you say, like, okay, Austin Romaine. Okay, that's recognizable, right? I've heard his name before. Brendan Sorsby. Everybody's talking about Brendan Sorsby, right? And those are the people that, they will make a huge impact for this team. But you got to be cognizant of people like Trey White, who are going to lean into this and be an excellent edge rusher. You got to lean into guys like Bryce Butler, who are massive human beings, who are going to help be a part of continue this essence of run stopping, right? You got to be ready to hear guys like Jalen Jones. Huh?
I don't think people realize how good Trey White is.
They will. That's the thing, is that they will find out.
Yeah.
Right? He will come on their radar the same way David Bailey did. Nobody in outside of the statisticians and like the Stanford, nobody was talking about David Bailey. All of a sudden, David Bailey is the freak of nature. David Bailey's like one of the best. Why are we not talking about this guy more? David Bailey. I think Blanchard and company has done a phenomenal job. It's worthy of it's worthy of an ESPN segment that we'll never get. But they are leading, I think, the nation in scouting and recruiting, scouting and transfer portal recruiting for sure. Because I can't imagine, some of these guys obviously are getting a lot of offers. Some of these other guys, who is talking to them? Like how invested do they feel that other universities are looking at them comparatively to Texas Tech, right? Can't imagine Texas Tech comes off a quarterfinal appearance and, David Martin for UTSA is like, hey, maybe I'll get to move up to like Cincinnati or something. And then Texas Tech's defense is like, hey, you need to be a part of this. I think there's something really affirming in your game in that, and that's really powerful. But more importantly, I think this is like the kind of stuff that we are rebuilding and reloading at the same time, right? We are still focusing on high school. We have great high school commits. We have good high school people we're looking at, right? But you've got people, and it's not just seniors. Another thing is that these aren't just like the 1 year guys. Like we talk about Wendell, he's a freshman, redshirt freshman, right? Barry Wendell's a redshirt freshman, right? David Martin's a sophomore. Trey White's just a redshirt junior. So these are guys that aren't just like, okay, where am I going to go my last year? It's guys who are like, how can I up my play and make the most of what's left in my time? And maybe it is just 1 more year. Maybe it's 2. Where's the best place for me to elevate my game? Looks like Texas Tech.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so, we're not the only spenders. Indiana's back at it, even while they're in the college football playoff semifinal. They're back at it. Texas Tech currently has the number 4 portal class. Indiana's third. So they're into it. Kentucky, a bit of a surprise. We'll sign in them. They're really spending. They're getting big time recruits as well. You know what's interesting though? Right now, number 1 and 2 in the portal is I know number 2 is Oklahoma State. Funny enough, and I believe number 1 is Auburn. I could be wrong about that. I gotta check on that one. But my main point is that I do respect like Eric Morris, for example, and any coach that Oh, actually, no, sorry, it wasn't. It's not. It's Penn State. Penn State with Matt Campbell. I respect Matt Campbell and I respect Eric Morris because I really respect the fact that, hey, I got a promotion, I got a new job, and I want to take all the players that I love and care about with me, right? I've always felt like it's kind of a negative reflection if, like, for example, John Summerall went from Tulane to Florida. I have not seen a lot of Tulane guys go with him to Florida. If anything, I'm seeing more Tulane guys go with their old coach to Houston. You know what I mean? This cycle. And so, to me, I'm like, how does it feel to, now that I've moved on, Lane Kiffin, now that I moved on to LSU, I don't need any Ole Miss guys. Now I want good players. Trinidad Chambliss, the quarterback for Ole Miss, actually just recommitted to Ole Miss, which he should have. Good for him. Right? You see your old coach, instead of trying to get you an NCAA waiver for next year, he's trying to look at greener pastures, Oh, maybe I can try to convince Ty Simpson to leave Alabama. Maybe I can try to get Sam Lever or Sorsby or whatever. I'm like, man, screw you. I think it is to me another piece of loyalty. Those guys are going to be, seeing like Byram from USF. Everybody knows he's going to Auburn. That's good. That's how it should be. If you actually care about your kids, seeing all these Penn State guys go to Virginia Tech, how it should be because, hey, we rock with you, Coach Franklin. You rock with us, and so yeah. No, overall, I think that's good. Portals in full effect. We not done yet. I don't think we done yet. Texas Tech has just a lot still left in the chamber. We're gonna be so good next year. I do think with us losing the way we did, similar to Bias and O-line, this is Cody Campbell and all the other boosters saying we got a taste. Now I want the whole load. Pause. I want it. I want it. They have the taste. They want to get after it. So I think that's great. And Jeremy is going around because who else got the recruiting fever? Kristen Gurlich. We got a 7'1" future star, Jeremy. Stephanie Ochekutru. Damn it, I had this name right.
Stephanie O.
No, I had it. I
was practicing that all evening.
No, I've had it right all week too. And what the problem is because I'm not currently looking at the name. Sorry, it's Okechukwu. My bad. It's actually a really common Nigerian name, actually. But Okechukwu is a member of the Texas Tech Lady Raiders, 7'1". And you know what's funny? She's the tallest woman in college women's basketball history. And it's not the biggest news for the Lady Raiders. Lady Raiders are 16-0, 17th ranked team in the country. Competing, absolutely competing. And they look good doing it. This is not like 16 wins and it's probably the hair on the chinny chin that they're winning these games. No, they're beating these teams, beating them down, whooping them, looking like the skilled, talented team they are. Right, they just beat Arizona down bad, beat them by 31, right, in a game where they dominated from start to finish. They whooped up on UCF right before. This is a good team. I'm excited to see how they look when they play West Virginia because that's going to be a road game against a decent West Virginia team. And so, I think if they win that West Virginia game, it'll be just as impressive. Maybe not as beating Baylor, but just as impressive as when they beat Mississippi State, right? Because West Virginia right now is another team that's fighting for their tournament lives. And you go on the road to Morgantown and win that game, that's great. And the amazing thing about the Lady Raiders this year is it wasn't a huge roster turnover, right? You found one woman that's new to Colin, similar to Mitch Griffiths, who wasn't playing basketball, and said, "Hey, can you play basketball now?" And she's like, "Okay, sure," right? And then you were able to convince Bailey Maupin to come back. And you were able to work with some players to get them better, like Jalen Bristow and Danae Fritz. And now you're just balling, you're just playing great coaching. Take a bow. This team is just one of my favorite Lady Raiders seasons in probably almost 20 years.
And forever, I mean, you absolutely, and we talked about it, but you absolutely should be looking at this at like, you are a tournament team. Like, this is a tournament level team with the way that you're playing. There's no way you can say they are not at this point, right? Haven't sniffed defeat yet. The way that you are beating, the Baylor game being as close as it was it felt like getting over a conference hump. Like you were in a close game and you closed it out. Not only you closed it out against a top 15 opponent. Crazy. And then you followed it up and you smack UCF, and you follow that up and you destroy Arizona. So it's now Arizona and UCF bottom of the table with Houston and Cincinnati, of course. But like you said, this West Virginia game is going to tell us a lot about this Lady Raider team, because right now West Virginia also undefeated in conference. They've only had 2 tough losses this season, and you play in Morgantown. So how is this team going to go out and travel again? Are they going to bring that kind of same energy they brought against Baylor? And what's that going to look like? Because after that, the schedules feels pretty manageable. You've got some big games kind of sporadic throughout the stretch there, and you're not going to stay undefeated. If you do, I'm gonna buy a lottery ticket. But no, man, this Lady Raiders team, like Emily said, my wife said, Coach Gerlich is coaching for her job, and she's proven that she can be a good coach. So,
just give her 1 year contract from here on out.
That's right. Just keep the pressure on. Can you imagine how stressful that'd be? We'd see her in a couple of seasons. We're just wearing a cap, so she's like losing all her hair.
Very terrible. And it's not just her. The Manly Raiders, the men's basketball team, 102 points against Oklahoma State. Christian Anderson is looking like a top 10 player in the country, right? We have 2 of the best players in the country between him and Toppin. Both of them absolutely were great against Oklahoma State. 102 points in that game. It just, now that Christian Anderson is got it. He's got it. The other game, 19 points, 13 assists, right? JT Toppin, 23 points, 14 rebounds against Oklahoma State. It wasn't just them. It was great to see LaJuan Watts come forward. So really seeing the trio of Toppin, Anderson, and Watts all together, with Atwell dropping 5 threes himself. Like, that was the perfect offensive performance by the Texas Tech Red Raiders. It was amazing to see. This team has been on fire since that Duke win. So it's just the Duke win for the men, the Baylor win for the women, all coming together. It's just, basketball euphoria. And with football season being over, Jeremy, we can start with our next episode devoting all of our time more to basketball. Finally. With a huge game coming up tonight or Tuesday night against Texas Tech against Houston in Houston. Unfortunately, I'm in freaking Charlotte for my day job where they finally play in Houston, but whatever. But yeah, no, should be an amazing game.
What's funny is that I remember a tweet from a very small account before the Oregon game. And I don't remember if they were even Oregon fans, but it was like Texas Tech fans going to lose this game and say, "Oh, we a basketball school." And you know what? We are. So we're an everything school right now, so we're living it up. But since the Duke game, men have really pulled it together. There are still certainly some big pieces missing on this team, like Ben Boye and stuff like that. I just feel like there's just another level that this team can reach. My fear equally is that we'll have some guys getting healthy and trying to reintegrate into the team, and that might throw some chemistry off. But you never know. I mean, it may just improve, and we'll just have to see as people get healthy. But going into Houston a little bit banged up, but I mean, this team has proven that I don't know if they really care, right? So you got your couple of your best players out there, and Anderson and Toppin. Somebody, I think we're going to need one more person to step up in the game in Houston for us to have a chance to win. I don't think it can just be Toppin and Anderson, but I do think that, if we have Atwell or John Watts, I think if one of them has a really good game, then we have a really good shot. But I mean, Manuel Sharp, Flemings, Milos Uzan, he won't freaking go away. Like, still got a lot of good players there in Houston, and it's gonna be a tough team. Kelvin Sampson is never an easy out.
Not at all. Just realized my flight from Charlotte arrives in Houston at 7.
So
Game
get your
today.
tickets, go straight to the game, leave your bags outside.
I don't know if I'm gonna leave my bag outside in Third Ward, Houston, but but anyways, Jeremy, anything else you want to say to the people?
Football is dead. Long live basketball.
Just like that, straight like that. Yeah, you hear that? Transfers, football's dead. Get out of here. That's what Jeremy said. Nah, just joking. But yeah, no, it's great all around the board. It reminds me a lot of like softball. Remember, softball lost the national championship game, and they came back with a vengeance in portal season. Football lost quarterfinal game. We coming back with a vengeance. We ain't going nowhere. We ain't going nowhere. We can't be stopped now because it's Red Raiders for life with the number 4. I don't know if I'm allowed to sing that anymore because Diddy. But either way.
If you didn't say it, I don't know how many people would have gotten.
You would known the song.
You did.
Yeah, it would have been like, oh, that was a nice little tune.
Mr. Albert there.
Like our older listeners are like, huh, sounds new. Our newer listeners are like, yeah, it sounds old. And meanwhile, the millennials are just like, we have fun. We have fun here. So, anyways, for the fun man himself, Jeremy Gillen, this is your boy, I'll be sure, and you have been listening to the Tortillas and Takes podcast, part of the 1012 Network. As always, stay right, people.